everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books and welcome to my wrap up of what I've read this week. Hey you guys, so I just want to come on really quick and talk to you about the books that I have read for this week. And so it's a mix and match of various things. You know, I have been reading the Tiffany Rice Original Sins series, and I finished up the novellas for this series and then the 9th and final book. And so I just wanted to talk to you about those as well. And in the description box below, I will go ahead and put in where these books fall in reading order. So if you want to know how to read the books, then go ahead and check it out down there. So this one is called Picture Perfect Cowboy. This is a novella. I believe this is like 6.5 or 7, something like that, that you read it in that order. And I absolutely love it. And it's about Simone. And Simone she is a professional masochist, and she plays a lot with Siren when Nora is not available. So Simone will step in for that. And so as a result, she has a really amazing relationship with Siren. She has a great relationship with Nora. She's really close to them. She has become a professional photographer, and in her job as a professional photographer. And in one of the other novellas, you see how that came about and how Kingsley was involved in that for her. And so I love the novellas, the way that Tiffany Rice writes the novellas. The main books are telling you the story of these characters and their relationship to one another. The novellas help you understand their motivations, and it gives you a better understanding of these characters, and you start to like recognize why they do what they do, and you start to understand who they are as characters, and you start to love them even more. So like in the big books, you kind of get like the story and you go like, why did they do that? And that wasn't right. And I'm not okay with that. And then you get the novella and then you're like, oh, well, shit, I would have done the same thing. Like I totally get the bigger picture now. So it's just really good. So you get Kingsley's perspective as how he's involved in Simone becoming a photographer. Anyway, so she is shooting a calendar ad for firefighters and for like rugged guys, and his friend is recommended to be part of that, and he has an accident and is not able to participate in that. And so as a result, Jason Stillwaters, he stands in for him, and he is immediately attracted to Simone, and she like sees him as this big burly Western kind of guy, and he holds a deep dark secret. And so after the photo shoot is over and he like learns and knows that she is a professional masochist and that she is a professional sub, and he learns more about her, he like steps out of his comfort zone and expresses his desires and what he wants. And this whole story is like a little novella, but like more than a novella, about what happens when you are true to yourself and you step out of your comfort zone and you be honest about what you want. And can you make that work with people that are from very different walks of life? And is that possible? You know, can it even work when you've got somebody that is from like, you know, a Utah, kind of Kansas like bull riding community? It's really Kentucky bull riding community, and step into a relationship with a New York submissive. And what does that really look like? And how do like the people in the community and your family accept that? This is a 5 out of 5. Like I said, every Tiffany Rice book is a 5 out of 5. It is a 5 angst, and it is a 5 spice, and it's spectacular and fantastic, and you're gonna love it as much as I did. So then the next bind up is called Winter Tales, and Winter Tales is a series of previously released short stories that are all put together in one bind up. So it's a December Wine, The Christmas Truce, Poinsettia, and The Scent of Winter. And then there's also a bonus story of Blood and Snow that is included in here as well. And it is so good. It's mainly stories about Kingsley, Nora, and Soren, and it's fantastic. And it gives you all the little nitty gritties and all like the understandings of going back 20 years and currently and back and forth of what happened, and all of like the little in between like little nooks and crannies that we missed. My understanding from one of my viewers is that Tiffany puts out a new story every Christmas. She puts out a story, and so I cannot wait to this Christmas to absolutely hear see what she's going to write in this world, because the world is sort of turning and twisting, and you never know what to expect from her. And you think you're going to go into something, and you think that you're starting it and you understand where this book is going to go and what you're going to get, and it doesn't give you it. She delivers something completely different, but it's fantastic nonetheless. And so this is no different. It's so good. You have to read this after you've read all of the major big books. I would even suggest that you read this. You can read this before you read Priest, the 9th book, because that goes in a completely different direction, but you certainly cannot read this until you have read all of the red years and all of the white years and some of the little novellas in between, and then you can read this, and it's fantastic. And like I said, it's 5. It's 5. It doesn't get any better. Okay, so then again, this is a little bind up of 5 stories, and this is novellas that are written about Nora in a certain time period of what's going on in Nora's life. And it's called these are called, are they these? I think it's just like The Last Goodnight 1, 2, 3, and 4, I believe is how it goes. Yeah, it goes Scars and Stripes, Sore Spots. Part 3 is The Games Destiny Plays. Part 4 is Fit to be Tied. And 5 is The Last Goodnight. And it is fantastic. It is so good. It is about a guy named Lance, and Lance has come to work at the 8th Circle, which is the club that they all go to, the BSM club that is owned by Kingsley. And that's the club that they all go to. And Lance is working as a bouncer in that club. There is a mystery to solve because one of the dominatrix in the club has been assaulted, physically assaulted severely. And so as a result, they want to find out what happened. And they also want to make sure that all the dominatrix are safe. And this is a safe environment until they get to the bottom of what happened. And so the 5-part story is a story of Nora's encounter and experiences while they are investigating this mystery. And it's fantastic. It's so good. It's so yummy. It's super short and sweet and to the point. It's on Audible. You can get it and just download it and just enjoy it. I think each little section is like, for me, it's like 20 minutes or something, 25 minutes. I don't know. It was fantastic. It was so good. So check that out. And then the last book, this is book 9 in the series, and this is The Priest. And I think one of my viewers, I think it was Ray, who said to me, I thought that the Tiffany Rice books were a mystery or a thriller. And I was like, no, absolutely not. Well, this book is. This one is about, they have all relocated to North Carolina. And while they're living in North Carolina, a priest is found dead. And so there is a private investigator that has been hired to find out what happened to this priest. And in the priest's pocket is Nora's card. And so Cyrus, who is Cyrus Tremont, he is the investigator that's trying to figure out what happened, goes to Nora, and Nora becomes involved in the investigation, and she is working with Cyrus to help find out what happened, and it's fantastic. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to say. I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite book in the series, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. And what I meant when you think you know that things are going in a certain direction, Tiffany takes you off on a veer that goes the opposite way. And there are some things that are discussed in here about grooming, about whether or not someone who is 16 years old can consent to a relationship with an adult. There is a conversation about, do we view that in a different way if it's a boy who's having a relationship, who's 16, with an older woman, versus a girl who's 16 and has a relationship with an older man. And let's say that all parties are the same age. So, the person is 16 years old and the other person is like in their 20s. Is this a possibility? And how would we view that? If it were the boy, would we say, good for you, you were able to like sow that oats with an older woman, it's fantastic? Versus if it was a girl, then do we say like, oh my gosh, that was assault and grooming behavior and that's not okay? And this is addressed in here. And the thing that sort of took me back is, they do it in an honest way and in a sincere way, but one of the characters doesn't address that they did the same exact thing to someone else when that person was vulnerable in a very different way than it was done to them, but it was still done nonetheless. And I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to ruin it, but I think we should have an open and candid conversation about how we have double standards for how we view things for both girls and boys or men and women. And if we are truly moving into a feminist society where we're saying like all things should be equal, then all things should be equal and the rules should be applied in exactly the same way. You know, there should be equity at least, right? And so I think it's an interesting conversation, and it's brought up here and it's addressed here. Now, also in The Priest, they sort of lead things in a way that makes you go, oh, you feel a bit gutted because you don't know how the outcome is going to be. But Tiffany always surprises you, and you never know what you're going to get. So you don't know if things are going the way that it's outlined here, or if things are going to go a completely different direction. You just don't know. And so we have to wait and see if things are going to pan out the way we hope. I hope to God that they don't. I hope to God that things like continue on with the angsty sort of direction that they always have, but let's see what happens. I have reached out to Tiffany Rice. I would love to have her on the channel. I would love to meet with her and talk with her about all of my thoughts and feelings, because she can invoke the feels for like days about these characters and about their motivation and the things that they do and the direction that things are going in the future. And, you know, how long she's going to continue to write in this world. Like, I just want to get in and pick her brain because I'm just so fascinated. And I love these characters so much that I just need more. And I just need to talk to her. We just need to do a powwow. We just need to do a powwow. So we'll see what Tiffany has to say about that. And in the meantime, we'll just be waiting and hoping and praying that she will agree to come on and talk with me, and hopefully maybe me and Charles, or so we'll see what happens in the future. But that's that. Okay. So then you guys know that I have been reading the Karen Rose books. One of the books that I read is I Can See You, and this is a continuation. Like I said, all of the books are always about a revenge plot where someone is doing something, you know, to someone else in the hopes that they are going to get revenge for things that were done to them. Now, this particular book is about Evie. We heard about Eve from previous books, like at the first, second, third book in the series, where Caroline was, accosted by her ex-husband while she was living in Dana's shelter. Those were in the first couple of books. And we met Eve at that time, and some things happened to Eve. And as a result of that, now we're seeing, you know, her in I Can See You. And again, this is another homicidal serial killer that's on the loose. And Noah Webster is the detective and the FBI agent that is seeking to kind of figure out and the crime of finding out what happened. Eve has a severe deformity in her face as a result of her previous trauma. Noah has been watching her for quite some time, the police detective, and has wanted to approach her, but he has a past. He has some alcoholism in his past. And as a result, he just feels like she doesn't deserve to have someone like him in her life. But because there are several suicides and several things that are happening that are centering around Eve, then they are sort of thrust together. And as a result of them being thrust together, their relationship develops and they start to get closer together. And of course, in comes David Hunter, and David Hunter is the brother of Max, and Max Hunter married Caroline from the previous books. We know all these characters from before, so they are back and we see them again over here, and this is really good. And like I said, Karen Rose definitely knows how to deliver a suspense and a thriller, and you never know who did it. I have to say that this one, I believe, is the first one that I was actually able to clock who did it and what was happening. So I was really excited that I was able to figure this one out, but it wasn't easy. It was not easy to do that. And so all of her books are a solid 4, and so this is no different. So I think that you should check it out. The next book in the series is Kill for Me. And Kill for Me is the story of 6 teenage girls that have been attacked and have been accosted by a serial killer, and Susan Vartanian and Luke Papadopoulos we've seen them in previous books. Vartanian is the brother of, I believe her brother's name is Daniel as well. David is the other one. So her brother's name is Daniel, and we saw him and he got a previous book, and now it is her turn, and she is working with Luke Papadopoulos, and this is a fantastic story of trafficking and a serial trafficking ring, and they're trying to understand what happened. You definitely have to read this book in order with the other books because it is a continuation of the book that occurs right before this. And so you won't know what's going on here if you haven't read those other books. So definitely read this. This is an instance where you do have to read the books in order. I have mentioned to you before that every character that she writes, there are no secondary characters in here. They are main characters, and then there are characters that she's giving you information about that you will learn about later, and they get a book later, but everybody is in here, or there are characters in here that are going to apply or relate to the overall plot of the book. So everybody is relevant. And so you have to pay attention to everything because all of it's necessary and valid information that you are going to need. And this was one of the best books in the series. I really loved it. It was fantastic. Again, solid 4. And then the last book that I read is Silent Scream. And this one is Olivia Sutherland, and Olivia is tied into all of the other characters that we talked about earlier. We talked about Caroline, we talked about Dana, we talked about Maya in some of the other books, and this is one of the siblings of earlier characters. She is a police detective, and this one is she's tracking down an arsonist, and they're trying to discover what the arsonist is doing and why they're doing that and how that relates to one of the local deaf schools in the community. And they are trying to get to the bottom of this information. And the love interest here is that David Hunter, who is Max Hunter's brother, David Hunter finally gets his love interest. Olivia and David have met 2 years earlier at Maya's wedding. And you know, at one of the other Chicago books, we saw that instance happen. And so they met then. And so now their story continues 2 years later. They both are very traumatized. They both have a significant past. And we are trying to understand what happened to them and how we can help them to sort of come together and be a happy couple. And while also, you know, solving the arsonist case, you know, and finding out how it relates, like I said, to a local deaf community. And so it is fast paced and fascinating. Now, of all the books, this book I liked the least. I gave this a 3. Now, did I give it a 3 because I read it immediately after I just finished the Tiffany Rice books and I had book hangover? It's quite possible because every other book that I've read is a 4 and the rating on here is a solid 4. So it's possible that because I just came off of that hangover, I was like, well, this is not my unholy trio, so I don't know what I'm reading. It's possible that I did that, so I'll give it a pass. But like, if you like, you know, like romance and romantic suspense and thrillers and whodunit and all of that, this gives you and delivers all of the feels. So that's that. So you guys, that's all that I have for today. I think as we are marching into the month of October. Girl, it is not October. As we're marching into the month of August, I need to get up my TBR for the month of August. So I will do that, and I hopefully will have that up for you guys on Monday so you can see what ambitious things I have planned and see if I can actually, if I've bitten off more than I can chew. But you know, I always do that. So it's all good. It just keeps marching in, and I'll just carry it over into September if I need to. So you guys, having said that, that's all that I have for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please do all the things. Hit the like button because it helps me. Hit the subscribe button so you can know every time I upload a new video. And I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.